Name is Eunice Kim. I'm a world history teacher, and this is my unit on the French Revolution. So, one of the first things that I did with my students was I did a gallery walk with them. And in this gallery walk, they got to experience a day in the life of a peasant and a day in the life of King Louis XIV. And so, they first went through an excerpt from A Tale of Two Cities, where there is a nobleman who runs over a peasant child in his carriage and basically tells the parents of the child that they should watch their children better and that they hurt his horses more than the child. And so it was basically like a ridiculous story of like of the nobles really not caring about peasants' lives. And then the students read through A Day in the Life of King Louis XVI, which was in stark difference because you see his schedule like basically mapped out, and he lives so well and like eats so much that he has a stomach 3 times the size of a normal human being. And so we kind of juxtaposed these two and considered them in context. And so this really helped set the framework for what was going on in France at this time. And then we did this really cool activity where we mapped out a pyramid and mapped out the 3 different estates, and we were able to use details like on the side. We all drew this in our notes. We mapped out details from these different stories that we had read about the life in for peasants and the life of King Louis XIV in order to kind of set this context. And so once we had set this context, we went into different causes of the French Revolution. So we talked about what revolutions are all about and like what caused it. We went through some vocabulary terms such as these, and then we ended up going ahead and writing a DBQ essay on what caused the French Revolution. And so in these lessons, we read 6 different documents that were, most of them are primary sources. And we tried to answer this question of like, what was it that really caused the French Revolution? And then we mapped out these different reasons into economic reasons for revolution and intellectual reasons for revolution to kind of simplify what was happening in France at this time. And then we went over to a writing template in order to really map out like, okay, so I know what caused the French Revolution, like how do I argue it in a thesis? And then we tried to find evidence and analysis from the text. It was surprising to me how difficult it was for the students this first time around. I don't think they were used to the structures, but what was really cool, and I'll share with you this later, was that I feel, really got it after a while. So after this part on what caused the French Revolution, we went ahead and talked a little bit more about different parts of the revolution itself and eventually got to the Reign of Terror. And what was super cool about this lesson was that we talked about violence as a reaction to violence. And so we asked this question of whether or not it would be okay for someone who had been bullied, for example, for a long time to punch the bully back at one point. And so we kind of drew this parallel with the Jacobins who executed a bunch of first and second estates people. And it was largely because they had experienced a lot of oppression. And so what was really cool is in the exit ticket, we answered this historiography question of this story, like the Jacobins were an evil group of radical revolutionaries who brutally killed thousands of innocent people during the Reign of Terror. We kind of used this and asked ourselves, like, is this fair to the Jacobins? Like, is this like an accurate telling of the story that happened? And the students wrote some really cool responses that were super empathetic and understanding and like really nuanced. And I thought that was just some of the best historical work that they had done so far. After this, we went into Napoleon, and this is where we analyzed some more documents in order to write another short DBQ. And the question for it was Napoleon a democratic reformer who followed the ideals of the French Revolution, or did he betray these ideals as a dictator? And so what was really, really cool about this is that unlike the previous DBQ, they really got it. I think that practice really helped. And so they were analyzing documents mostly on their own. And then when it came time to write the essay, they had all the parts of the essay and they just really, really did well. And so that is my French Revolution unit plan. So thank you so much for watching.